When people are in a room with you, they will naturally like turn towards you and like look to you as the one who is the leader. Even if you aren't, it will change what happens to you professionally. It will change where you end up. It will change how fast you get promoted. It will change how you feel. It will change your stress levels. All of this will change in a good way when you start doing this. You feel good and you feel powerful and you feel confident, and that power and that confidence is magnetic to people. And they're like, what is she having? I want to have that too.
Welcome to The Art of Speaking Up, a podcast that helps professional women access the limitless potential that lies within them. I'm your host, Jessica Guzik, and my mission is to help you find that spark inside you that has the power to transform your career in ways you may not have thought possible. I'm so excited that you're here. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome to the community. I'm Jess. I'm the creator and host of this podcast. I had a prior career in the 9-to-5 space, and now I am a coach for women in the 9-to-5 space. And this show is all about basically just helping you feel amazing. My goal is to give you the tools and the inspiration and the leadership and mindset advice that you need to know that you are good at your job, that you can succeed in your job, and that you really can get to any endpoint that you desire in your career. That is the mission of this show. And I'm so pumped about today's episode because I'm talking about leadership, and it's probably one of my favorite topics. And I often don't talk about it that much on the show, which is weird because it's one of my favorite topics. But I think that's just because it's kind of an intangible thing, and it can be hard to boil down into like real tangibles that I know that you can take with you and like use right away. So I'm going to do my best to try to make this like really digestible and really, really practical. And I will tell you that there is an element of leadership, at least in how I do it and how it was infused in my career and in my business now and in my life. For me, there is an element of leadership that is a little bit magical and is a little bit divine and is a little bit even spiritual. And I think for me, the reason why that's the case is because leadership is ultimately about that human to human interaction and amplification. And what it means to lead is it means that you are showing up so powerfully and with so much passion and strength and power and commitment to the work that you do that everyone around you feels inspired and feels that energy and is drawn towards you. And there is something very mysterious about that. And there is something about that that I think is beyond simple tactics, beyond like straightforward, like here's steps 1 through 5, beyond the tangibles and into the mysterious world of how you feel and learning to feel inspired and learning to act from that really inspired place. But it's so important, and it's something that I want to bring to you because ultimately, like when you learn how to sort of like shift into this space of leadership, it will change everything for you. And I mean everything. When you learn how to lead in your job and you learn how to lead yourself and you learn how to lead others and you learn how to show up as a powerful leader, everything will begin to shift. Your confidence will begin to shift. You will feel so much more empowered and capable and in control in your job. Your stress levels will go down because you will have limitless belief in yourself and what you can do. And you won't feel so afraid of everything around you and of all of the circumstances and obstacles and challenges around you. It will also amplify your results. When you're showing up as a leader, the way you think about your work, the way you approach your work, the way you show up for your work, the way you are in meetings, the way you are all the time is completely different in such a way that the output and the quality of your thinking and the work you do gets elevated to such a higher level. And what happens is people around you begin to notice that. You begin to gain a reputation as someone who does above and beyond work, whose contributions are above and beyond, who moves things to the next level, who sees the next step, who sees ahead, who executes in this flawless way that magnetizes everyone around them. And your professional reputation gains this incredibly powerful momentum. And as that happens, you enter into what I love to think of as the magical upward spiral. where you're feeling inspired and you've learned how to tap into that inner leader. And because you've learned how to do that, your results are getting better. Your reputation is getting better. You're getting positive feedback. You're advancing and moving up. And you're generating more and more evidence that you are amazing at what you do, that you are smart, that you are strong, that you are capable. And that further fuels your ability to tap into that leadership and keep pushing the envelope. And when I say pushing the envelope and when I say kind of like executing flawlessly, I don't mean just like working more and more and more and working harder and harder and being the person who takes on everything. I want to be really, really clear that that is not what it means to lead, and that is not the definition of leadership. The amount of time that we put into something and like the hard pushing and the hustle and the effort, there are certainly seasons for that, but leading is about doing things smartly, doing things in a way that's inspired, learning how to get things done more effectively through collaboration. It's not just doing the most work and putting in the most hours. It's being thoughtful and knowing how to navigate an organization and knowing how to take all of the elements around you and have them work together in the most effective possible way and in a way that feels good for you and everyone around you. Can you tell that I'm excited? I'm really, really excited. Okay, so today's episode is almost like a 101, like an intro, foundations for what it means to behave like a leader and what it means to become a powerful leader. And the things that I'm sharing with you, they will literally spill over into everything you do. This will spill over into the work that you do. It will spill over into how you build and maintain relationships at work. It will spill over into how you are in meetings. It will spill over into your career goals. Like, this will affect everything. And that is part of the reason I am so excited about it. Okay, so to help you understand like the basics of what it means to be a leader and what I'm talking about when I say leading powerfully and what it means to go from just like straight up like showing up and like clocking in and clocking out and then going home versus being a leader, the way that I want you to think about this is there are two ways that you can be in your job, and you are always being one of two ways. And so you want to kind of think about this and cultivate a little bit of awareness around this, but you can be working or you can be leading. And working is where you're showing up and you're getting the things done and you're doing a great job. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with working, right? That's what I think most people are doing. They're showing up, they're getting their job done, they're going home, they're showing up again the next day. Leading has a lot more depth, a lot more emotional inspiration, and a lot more like deep, sophisticated thinking behind it. And it is very, very different than working. So when you are leading, you are operating from your highest level of capability. You are not just going through the motions, but you are approaching what you do throughout the day with a level of focus and intention. And most importantly, belief in you. Because when you believe in yourself and you believe in your own brilliance, then it's a lot easier to open up that brilliance and allow it to impact the work that you do and allow it to flow through you into the work that you do. Here's how I want you to think about what it means to lead. This is the simplest way that I can think of to explain this. I want you to imagine that there are two switches that live inside of your being. There is one switch that I like to call the idea switch. And there's another switch that I like to call the action switch. Now, each of these switches live inside you. And I want you to imagine that each switch can either be turned on or turned off. Those are the only options. When you are operating as a leader, both switches are turned on. And when you are not operating as a leader, when you are just showing up and working, usually both switches are turned off. Now, let me tell you what each switch does, and it will really help clarify this, and this is all going to make sense. So the idea switch is the part of you, the switch inside you, the thing inside you that gives you nudges and intuitive hits and inspiration and ideas. When you are in your job, it is not just about rote execution. It is not just about someone saying, okay, like move this thing from point A to point B and then you're done. So much of what happens in an organization in a 9-to-5 space is solving problems and thinking through things. And when your idea switch is turned on, You are deeply engaged with what you're doing, and you are constantly getting ideas and insights and instincts about how the thing you're working on could be done better. So you are moving through everything you do, not just simply trying to execute it and get it done, but you're moving through it with an openness to receive ideas from yourself about how to optimize and improve what you are doing. When that idea switch is turned on, you will find that when you are sitting in meetings, you will come up with ideas and you will have things that you want to contribute. When you are working on something, your mind will be open to how it could be done better or differently, and you might notice yourself getting ideas about how something could be done better or differently. When that idea switch is turned on, you also might notice that you have ideas about who you could collaborate with or who you might want to deepen your relationships with. It will give you all kinds of ideas about how you can work with and partner with people all around you in your company in ways that might be like less than obvious or atypical. You'll know your idea switch is turned on if it's hard for you to not come up with something to contribute in meetings. If you're sitting in meetings and you feel like a stirring inside you and you feel that sensation of like, ooh, I have something to add. And if you're experiencing that kind of feeling consistently, that like, ooh, I have an idea, I have a thing, I want to do a thing, like I can see a thing, there's a thing that I know that I want to add or that I want to do or that I want to try. If you are having that feeling over and over and over, it means that your idea switch is turned on. That is the idea switch. Now, if you're just moving through the day kind of rote, not deeply engaged, sitting in meetings, not coming up with much to share, like not a lot is coming to you, then the idea switch might be turned off. Okay, that's the idea switch. Now I'm going to talk to you about the action switch. The action switch determines whether you act on the ideas that you're getting. When your idea switch is turned on, and your action switch is turned on, you have a smooth, beautiful, circular flow of receiving ideas and then acting on them. And then you receive ideas and then you act on them. So for example, you might be sitting in a meeting. If your idea switch is turned on, you will have all kinds of thoughts that you might want to contribute to the conversation. And if your action switch is turned on, as soon as you have those ideas, you're going to jump into the conversation and share your ideas with everyone around you. Similarly, if your idea switch says, hey, you should go get coffee with this person so that you can get to know them better, if your idea switch delivers you that idea and your action switch is also turned on, then you will listen to that idea and you will actually go do the thing and schedule the coffee and get to know that person. So when the idea switch is on and the action switch is on, you start showing up as a leader because you're getting these inspired nudges and your intuition is operating at its highest level. And because you are acting on it, your idea switch continues delivering you insights and information. Now, here's what I want you to think about because this is something that happens a lot. Often, if you are really, really smart and really, really capable and a really deep thinker and really good at what you do, but your confidence isn't at 100%, often what will happen is imposter syndrome and fear and doubt will act as a barrier between the idea switch and the action switch. So you may find yourself sitting in a meeting having lots of ideas because your idea switch is turned on. But because you don't feel fully brave enough to share that idea or, share that in the meeting, your action switch will go into the off position. And you may notice this happening in meetings. If you have lots of things you could share, but you don't end up sharing them, you might notice this happening like in the work that you're doing. If you are seeing better ways to do things, but maybe you're scared to like take a risk or think outside of the box or suggest something different to the people around you. You might notice this happening if you tend to know that your projects and your work would be done better if you collaborated more heavily, but you don't, you just prefer to do things alone. If your action switch is turned off and your idea switch is turned on, you will be getting ideas in meetings. You will be getting ideas when you're working on things. You will be getting ideas about like who you could reach out to and partner with across your company, but you won't take action on those ideas. So the fear and the doubt and the imposter syndrome acts as a barrier that flips down the action switch. So you're getting all of these ideas, your genius is operating, your brilliance is operating, but you're not acting on it. Now, it's so important here. This is one of the most important things that I think I could possibly tell you. So I really hope that this lands. When your idea switch is turned on, but your action switch is turned off, so you have ideas that you're not acting on, and you're not fully showing up at your deepest level of leadership and capability, what will happen is your idea switch is going to start to feel rejected by you. Like it's going to start to get upset. Think about it. Let's say you had a friend, and I actually feel like we all have a friend like this. Let's say you had a friend who you were always giving brilliant ideas to. Your friend would come to you and talk to you about their problems, and you have the answer to your friend's problems. And you would be like, oh my gosh, I know how to fix that. Here's what you need to do. And then your friend would come to you with a different problem, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I know how to fix that too. Let me tell you what to do. And I want you to imagine time and time again, your friend would come to you with a problem. You would deliver your friend a genius solution. You'd be like, this is what you should do to solve this problem. And they wouldn't listen to you. After a while, I know what happens to me. I get frustrated. I'm like, why aren't you listening to my genius ideas, right? The same thing happens inside you with your own idea switch. When your idea switch is turned on, but your action switch is turned off, and you're not acting on all that genius and all that brilliance, your brain is going to start to learn, oh, she doesn't act on it. She doesn't do anything. And it's going to disengage. And over time, if your action switch is not on, your idea switch is slowly going to start to drop to the off position. And it's going to stop delivering you your own genius. And that is your genius. That is no one else's. That doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from you. But that switch is slowly going to get turned off. Now, this isn't anything to worry about. The switch can easily be turned back on. But I really want you to notice where you're at. And I really want you to be aware of the relationship between the idea switch and the action switch, because the only way to keep the idea switch alive and robust and thriving is for the action switch to also be on, so that as the idea switch is generating ideas, they are flowing through you and you are taking action. So there's that healthy flow, right? That healthy rhythm of like, you have an idea, you act on the idea. That is the rhythm of learning to trust yourself. That is the rhythm of learning that your ideas have value. That is the rhythm of building confidence. And that is the rhythm of learning how to lead. Because what leading is listening to that idea switch and having the courage to act on it. And when you are listening to that switch and acting on it, the way that you are showing up at work is so much more powerful. Your results are so much better. You make such a bigger impact. You are so much more effective. You are so much more engaged and passionate about your work and magnetic to the people around you. But it does require you to have both switches in the on position. And what's so tricky about this, and what's so tricky about the action switch, and this is something that I struggled with a lot, is that keeping that action switch in the on position and speaking up and being proactive and showing up as a leader, that requires taking up space. And that is why the fear and the doubt and the imposter syndrome acts as that buffer between the idea switch and the action switch. Because what happens is when you doubt yourself, or you're not quite sure if you really are good enough, you don't have that inner push, that inner drive to take the risk and take the action that your idea is suggesting that you take. And then what happens is, because your ideas that are coming from that idea switch are never making it out into the real world, you never collect evidence of your own gifts and talents, because you keep them inside and you're going through the motions and you're doing a good job. It's not like you're underperforming in your job, but you have so much more to give. And the way that you do things and the way that you behave and engage and speak and work and contribute could be so much deeper, so much more inspired, and so much more enjoyable for you. When that whole system is functioning and you're getting those ideas from the idea switch and acting on them because the action switch is also turned on, your energy becomes self-replenishing, more sustainable, less stressful, because you're not mired in doubt. And the more you take action on your own ideas, the more you begin to see how capable you are, and the more you begin to see the impacts of your own genius. And that is where that imposter syndrome starts to shrink. Because now what you've done is you've taken things that came from you and no one else, and you're translating them into the real world, and you're seeing what happens when you dare to step out of like that comfort zone, and you dare to really share the things that you're coming up with and actually like approach and engage your job the way that you would engage if you weren't afraid of failure or taking a risk or people making a judgment about you or your ideas. You begin to act in that fearless way because you're no longer filtering things. And as you're no longer filtering things, your belief system about yourself, you know, the one that tells you you're not good enough and that maybe like you're not meant to rise in your career and maybe that path isn't for you, that starts to dissolve and get shattered because every day you're generating evidence that you have a powerful engine inside you that when you act on it and listen to it, it creates results that are above and beyond. And not only will you see this, but the people around you will see this. They will notice the shift in your behavior. They will notice the shift in how you're approaching your work, and your reputation will elevate very, very quickly. And this is where you start getting pulled in and tapped on the shoulder for bigger projects, for promotions, for exciting things that come up. But it all starts with turning on that switch. And when both switches are turned on, you show up with an unstoppable force because so many people are disengaged and kind of coasting. Most people don't have both switches turned on. So when you do, you stand out really, really quickly. And the way you are in meetings is so much more powerful. And the way that you approach your work is so much more powerful. You're constantly getting ideas and inspiration, and you're constantly refining and improving the way that you do things. And not only that, but when both switches are turned on and you're leading, you're getting ideas and you're acting on ideas for how you can more deeply collaborate and connect with other people. And that is where some of the biggest magic will happen, because so much of what it means to lead and so much of what it means to build a professional reputation is all about your relationship with other people, how much they know about you. And when that idea switch is turned on, it might tell you things like you should have more frequent professional development conversations with your manager or with superiors on your team, or you should get to know more people around your company, or you should have more like curiosity conversations or coffee chats with people so you can learn what they do in case it's something that you might want to do in the future. You'll get all kinds of ideas for how you can collaborate with other people. And when you act on them, your professional network will get so much stronger. And when both switches are turned on and you're in that cycle of like idea switches turned on and action switches turned on, you will start to feel so powerful and so unstoppable. And your energy will shift into something that people can feel. When people are in a room with you, they will naturally like turn towards you and like look to you as the one who is the leader, even if you aren't, because you just become the person who is the engine of progress. And when you're tapped into your own ideas and that switches on, you feel good and you feel powerful and you feel confident, and that power and that confidence is magnetic to people. And they're like, what is she having? I want to have that too. And so I really want you to think about these two switches. And I want you to start by thinking about your idea switch. And I want you to notice anytime your idea switch generates an idea, but your action switch is turned off. That phenomenon, your idea switch giving you an idea and your action switch being turned off, that phenomenon is your growth edge. The minute you start seeing that happening and the minute you recognize it and flip the action switch on is the minute you step into your next level of leadership. And as you do that, your idea switch will get better and better and more refined over time, and you'll get higher quality, more powerful ideas from it. Now, of course, there is a reason sometimes the action switch gets turned off. And I know that taking action can be really scary, and it requires taking up space, and it requires showing more of yourself and being more of yourself, which can feel hard and exposing. But the good news is learning to turn on these switches and learning to operate in this elevated way is something that you can do no matter what your starting point is right now. It doesn't matter if you're fully confident in yourself. It doesn't matter if maybe you feel partially confident in yourself or if you struggle with self-doubt. It really doesn't matter, because at the core of all of this, at the core of this like idea switch, action switch machinery is the idea of inspiration. And inspiration starts with you practicing it on yourself. So before you take those ideas and translate them out into the outside world and share them with everyone around you, you first learn how to pick yourself up and inspire yourself to get out of the stuckness that is keeping that action switch off. And this is where you truly learn to lead, because in the process of you learning to flip that action switch from the off position to the on position, you will have to feel what it feels like and experience the experience of feeling afraid, of feeling scared to take a risk, and of flipping the switch on and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and into a place of courage and bravery. Inspiration thrives when there is struggle. Struggle is like the fertilizer for inspiration. So when you have an idea, but you're scared to act on it and the action switch is turned off, that is the moment where you learn to practice inspiration and you learn to practice moving yourself into brave action, because inspiration is not as valuable and not needed when things are going well. It is most needed and most critical when things get hard. And that moment of your action switch being turned off is a moment where things are going to be hard. And you're going to have to learn to flip that switch on for yourself and do the hard, scary thing. And in doing that, you will be cultivating your leadership capabilities. Leadership is learning how to turn on the switch when things are really, really hard. And when you learn to do that for yourself and you learn to get yourself out of that doubt and out of that fear and out of that stuckness and out of all the heavy thoughts that weigh you down, when you learn how to do that, you will be able to do that for other people. And it will become this crazy, meta, self-replicating thing where your idea switch is going to give you ideas for how to get the action switch unstuck. You will start to get ideas for how to move yourself out of stuckness and how to move other people out of stuckness. But it all starts with a tiny moment where you notice, oh, I have an idea. I have an intuition. I'm getting this inspired nudge and I know what to do here. And noticing that your action switch is off and noticing that it feels hard and it feels scary and that you just want to stay in your comfort zone. And in that moment of saying, but what if I can? What would this look like if I can? And what do I need to say to myself in order to flip this switch on and finally do the thing? In that moment of you doing that, you will change who you are. You will start becoming a leader. That is your process of growing into a leader. That is your process of building bravery. That is your process of building confidence. And when you do that, your machinery, your idea switch and action switch elevate their overall quality, and you elevate what you're able to do for the people around you, because you fundamentally understand how to motivate yourself, how to get yourself into scary action, even when it's hard. And once you learn how to do that, you have everything you need, because you have a powerful idea switch, you have a powerful action switch, and you have a powerful skill set for turning those switches on even when things feel hard. That is all you need to do any job in the world, like to succeed in any role. There is no role out there that you can't succeed in if you learn to turn the idea switch on and act on your instincts and make powerful decisions and move forward with confidence and certainty, even when things feel hard. That is what it means to lead. That is what it means to run a business. There isn't as much complexity and rocket science as you might think. It is far more about courage and focus and bravery. And so my push to you for today is I really want you to think about where you're at with your idea switch and your action switch. And I want you to really carefully Tune into those moments where you notice that the idea switch is on and the action switch is off. Those are your moments where the growth is going to happen. And that is one of the most powerful places that you will take action, and it will change what happens to you professionally. It will change where you end up. It will change how fast you get promoted. It will change how you feel. It will change your stress levels. All of this will change in a good way when you start doing this. And you can start with something small, but just start noticing it. And I especially want you to notice how good it feels when both switches are turned on and you get yourself into that glorious rhythm of receiving these ideas and acting on them and learning how powerful you are and learning what a positive impact you have when you unleash your genius out into the world and you actually let people see the brilliance that is already in you. You already have all of this. So it's just about you taking the scary action so you can get credit for it. And this happens so much in corporate spaces. It's the people that are taking the scary action that tend to get ahead sometimes faster than the really smart people with all the good ideas. Because again, when that action switch is turned off, people don't see all of your brilliance. They might see some of it. They will for sure see some of it, but they're not seeing 100% of it. And this is the first step. The first thing you must do to step into powerful leadership is understand how these switches are operating within you and each day move closer and closer to a state where both switches are turned on all of the time. I hope that helped you. And if it did, I would love, love, love to hear from you. I will put my contact information below and feel free to reach out to me and say hello. If you want more content, come join the private Facebook group. I will link it below. I'm going live in there Tuesdays and Thursdays to do a free mini training. So come say hi, come join me. If you want one-on-one support from me and you want to work together with me on your confidence, on your leadership, and just taking your career to the next level, check out my private coaching program, which I will link below. And please feel free to reach out to me if you want to bring me to your company to do a talk or a workshop or group coaching. That is something that I'm offering now, and it is a super fun way to get to support you. All right, that brings me to the end. I feel really fired up about this. I can't think of any topics that are more important than this topic because it's so interesting. I think a lot of times we think to get ahead in my career and to have a really powerful career, I just have to work so hard and work so many hours and always be the smartest person. And I think what we so often forget, what so often gets overlooked is it's actually simpler than you think, but it's just more about facing your fears and doing the simple, scary action. You are already getting the ideas in the meetings. You already know what to do. You already have the answers. It's not about that. It's about the emotion of doing something hard. It's about the emotion of turning on the action switch when it feels new and unfamiliar and scary. That is where all of your growth lies. And so I hope that as you play with this concept and observe this concept, you can really begin to feel what it feels like to experience your own power, because it can change everything, literally everything. Whew. All right, I'm going to sign off. I hope you're having a really good week. Check out the show notes for everything that I mentioned. I will catch you next week for an interview, which I'm really pumped about. And we'll talk soon. Sending you all of my love and have an amazing day.